Sanibonani babukeli, sesifikile thina nentandokazi yohlelo leno Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. We're coming to you live la kumamba phambili SABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Uhleli noMangcolosi uAlisha uNhlanhlo amagama ami. Mbukeli sithi abathenga abaningi phela bathwele ubunzima bokungakwazi phela ngokuziphilisa njengoba isimo somnotho siloku sintenga izinsuku nezinsuku. Kodwa ngabe yini ke esingakhona ukuthi sizenze thina sabathengi okusemandleni ethu futhi ukuze phela sikwazi ukuthi sibhekane nalesimo esinzima esibhekene naso la eNingizimu Afrika. Ake sizwe nanku umbiko ukuthi uthini wena.
Iya isinda ngokusinda idyokwe emagxina abathengi beli loMzantsi Afrika oko eli lagaxeleka kwimeko enzima yezoqoqosho lidodobala mihla le seyingamatyela liqela ibhanki enguvimba isonyusa i-repo rate izinga lenzala kwimalimboleko yebhanki enguvimba ebolekisa ngayo ezinye ibhanki. Lo nzala ehlawulwa zezobhankana ezinjengo-FNB, Standard Bank, Absa nezinye eziqhelekileyo kule inguvimba yile efika ithwetha emagxina abathengi kumatyala abo emoto, izindlu nawo nawaphina amanye amatyala umntu anawo.
Against this backdrop, the MPC decided to increase the repurchase rate by 50 basis points to 8.25% per year with effect from the 26th of May 2023.
Nakwi-repo rate ebhengezwe kutshanje le bhanki nguvimba iphinde yalonyusa izinga lenzala kwimalimboleko ishiya abathengi betsala nzima ekuhlawuleni amatyala abo ingakumbi awezindlu.
Imali sesiyibhadala manje ayisafani nalena ngisacala ukuthatha ibond yami seyikhuphuke over 1,500 which I never had and I never budgeted for.
Ngikhokha more than 2,000 extra to what I was paying 2018.
Things affect me to up to no decimal point because I'm paying a bond and I'm told of interest rates which are going up every time. And then the food, I buy food every second week. Every fortnight I have to spend close to 2,000, you see? So it's just a hell of a lot for me.
Abakushishino lokuthengisa ngezindlu baqaphele ukuba liyalisonyuka inani labathenga bangasakwazi ukumelana namatyala abo, nto leyo ibanyanzela ukuba babhenele ekuthengiseni imizi yabo ingekathinjwa zibhanki.
Ama-trend esiwabonayo manje kwi-property market ukuthi ama-seller akhona maningi, abaningi babo bathenga i-property in 2021 where interest rate beyiphansi kakhulu, and then abaningi bathatha ama-bond nge-excitement bangazi ukuthi angeke ihlale lapho unomphelo. Manje ama-interest rate akhuphuke kakhulu.
Abe engayekanga ukunyuka amaxabiso phantse ayo yonke into ethengwayo, oku kungqinwe nalibhunga lentengiso yezolimo i-National Agricultural Marketing Council. Ingxelo yelibhunga ibonise ukuba amaxabiso okutya axhome ngentlanyana kweshumi ekhulwini ukususela ngoNovemba wenyaka ophelileyo ukuzokutsho ngoJanuwari kulo nyaka.
Before, you would go to the shop with 500 rands and at least ufumane groceries as will last for about a month. But now 500 rand is just for a day because of the high prices.
Siyahlupheka yazi, siyakusokola nemsebenzi ayikho, izinto ziyanyuka. Khona manje mina ame in-drive driver like i-Uber ne, but kunzima, petrol iyabiza. Imali ngiyayenza mariphelela yonke ku-petrol.
Ingcali kwezoqoqosho zikhuthaza ukuba abathengi bachithe imali yabo ngelihlo elibukhali nobuchule khona ukuze imadlana yabo iye mgama ekufezekiseni imfuno. Zithe zingcali abathengi mabayicukuceze loo madlana banayo bayisebenzise ngobona buchule ukumelana nesimo esinzima esijamelene naso kwezoqoqosho. Nobathembu Zantsi, Yilungelo Lakho.
Asibonge kakhulu ngalo mbiko mbukeli, and manje ke asamukele izivakashi zethu ukukhuluma kabanzi phela ngezinto esingazenza thina njengabathengi ukuthi lokho esinako okuncane ephaketheni kuhambe indlela ende phela ukuze sikwazi ukuphilisa imindeni yethu. Sinayo uGerald Mwandiambira, yena ke unguchwepheshe kwezokuphathwa kwezimali, sibe nayo noSisi Kabelo Teme, yena kuvela kwihhovisi leCredit Ombudsman. Lady and gentlemen, lady, I'll start with you. Kunjani Sis Kabelo, welcome to the show.
Nkosi, I'm trying to do the whole Zulu thing.
That's Kosa though.
Kosa, yes. Ngiyaphila wena unjani?
Ngiyaphila Ntokazi. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. But Gerald, how are you? Is Shosho to say imali?
Yo, kunzima sis, kunzima.
Kuraf, yeah. But Kabelo, I mean, look at that insert. What is your input after watching what we've just seen? A lot of people complaining about the fact that the 500 Rand that you used to have would literally buy you groceries that would push you, if you are single, for up to a month.
That's true.
But nowadays, you're not even coming out there with onions and any luxuries. We're just discussing 4 items that you literally come out of the shop with.
No, it's scary. I don't want to lie, it is scary, and we feel it as well. I mean, it doesn't mean that when we're sitting here we know any better or we are not feeling the pinch. We are really feeling the pinch, and right now it's about time that I think we are all looking at our finances and really looking at where can we change, what changes can you make, and if at all you're a person who was like intimidated to speak to your credit providers, now is the time to actually say, you know what, I'm no longer intimidated, I'm going to go and actually speak up and say, help me because really I am drowning.
But Kabelo, yini ungafika uyisho kuma creditors wakho where they actually willing to listen, because nabo I'm sure, I mean, they're still recovering from COVID, they need to be collecting lezo imali.
No, definitely. I mean, I think that even Gerald will speak on this, the fact that with credit providers, I mean, they are understanding to the point, to the fact that everybody is feeling the pinch right now. If I have done my homework as Kabelo and I sit down and I'm honest with myself and say, this is what I actually can do. When you go and approach the credit providers, you approach them with facts. You approach them with that real numbers. Don't say, I'm just going to suck a number out of my thumb. You basically are saying, exactly, we are adults right now. You know, as an adult, adulting is all about admin, guys. It's all about admin. So we got to do the admin. You have to put in the work and actually say, I am going to go there with facts, with my facts, and say, okay, guys, what do you have for me? What can we do to resolve this issue?
Gerald, I mean, we just saw Ubabule Sejahanyaho. Obviously, he's been very permanent and prominent on our screens for the past couple of months. I mean, the interest rates have literally been increased twice this year. Why is that now, after so long that we hadn't been seeing these interest rates? A lot of people are curious, Gerald, why now?
Look, I think, you know, they've been using interest rates as a way to control inflation. Yeah. But our inflation is all imported. So you end up punishing the people who are in South Africa, and that's what they've done. You know, 8.25% repo rate is really high. And, you know, that man's signature is on the money. Yes. So he doesn't know what we feel. Because how do I feel it if my signature is there?
If you're signing the money that the banks are going to give to Alicia and Gerald.
Where we buy it. Because for the ordinary South African citizen, it's reached a point where even a financial advisor who had given you good advice, it's not working. Because normally if I speak to you and I say, look, you're borrowing, you're buying a home, you must borrow at 75% affordability of what the bank offers you. And Alicia, you said, okay, Gerald, I really believe you, I'm going to do that. And you did that in 2018. Now you're looking at 40% up. And Gerald told you to prepare for 25%. So we've reached a point where even the best advice cannot stand, and we've reached a point where I think we need to start seeing a lot more empathy. But we've already seen all the major banks are starting to report what they call increased credit impairment. Impairment means people are not paying. Yes. They've stopped. And unfortunately, the reality is when things get too bad, people start switching off one thing, the next, and that's where we are. And as much as Kabelo, you're saying we ought to talk to our credit providers, probably the person who's on the phone with you is also going through the same thing you're going through.
Yo. So now, Gerald, I mean, with the 50% 50 basis points increase, I mean, and the prime rate lending now at 11.75%, what ripple effect does this then have on the average consumer who's paying for a bond, who's paying for a vehicle, who's paying for school, who's paying for every other thing?
People have run out of money because in real terms, inflation has eroded your income. So you're actually earning, Alicia, less than you were earning in 2018 because of inflation. On top of that, interest rates have gone up. So we've got a situation where most consumers, it's time to say, look, we can't cope and we need a solution. Yes, the Reserve Bank governor said, no, this is probably the last interest rate. Because he knows if he increases it one more time, Nami, I'll join you, Alicia, and we'll go and we'll toy, because we cannot take it so much. And I think we need to start realizing that using inflation, using interest rates as an inflationary control measure has failed.
Absolutely.
And we need something else. We need to go back to basics. But as consumers right now, we need to start going into that bank statement. I went through my bank statement yesterday, and I saw my 8 rand 50. I was like, okay, what are these 8 rand 50? I don't know. I might have used my card somewhere. But I phoned the bank and I said, these 10 8 rand 50s, I want them back.
Yes, because I don't know what they're for. So you're saying we need to go through those...
Back to basics. Go back to the bank statement. Even when they put bank charge 350 rand, pull up the brochure, make sure it's 350. Because these banks, sometimes they make mistakes. But we don't want that to happen.
The 99 rand mistakes.
And you're talking about the prime rate being 11.25% when repo is 8.25%. That 3% difference is profits to the banks. The banks are always okay. They're sorted.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, right now, we need to have a conversation between consumers and the government and business and say, we can't do this to our people anymore. Because, as you said, 500 rand, if you're a family of 4, I've got a family of 4, you basically can't get anything.
It doesn't go anything. Like, Kabelo, please tell us then, what is a practical advice to those people that are then suffering this this double repo, the interest hikes? How are they paying off their bonds? How are they paying off their houses? Because back when they took the loans, they were okay with it. These are people that maybe have got 3 years, 2 years, or even a couple of months left on their loans. They're about to lose their houses. They're about to lose, I mean, this is a lifetime savings type of thing. What do you advise such people?
You know, honestly, sometimes I get scared when I get asked, because we do get those queries at the Credit Ombud, and consumers are literally like, okay, Kabelo, I don't know what to do anymore, because now I am sitting at a deficit when it comes to my income, and what do I then do? Because my expenses now are so high. What do I do? And as much as, yes, we do say, approach your credit provider, speak to your credit provider, but now we're on survival mode. You look at, what can I let go? And in all honesty, right now, that's exactly what is going on. You are looking at, and mind you, within the frustration, if you tell a person that, yes, cut off on the entertainment, people will tell you, but I'm frustrated. I need something that's going to actually make me feel good. Exactly, because it is too much to handle. And so what do you even say to a person like that? It is honestly something that, like you are saying, Gerald, that the government needs to do something, because honestly, consumers are right now living under so much of pressure. And it is hard to advise somebody who's living under pressure to say that cut off on all your subscriptions, cut off on all of these things, because then you're like thinking, okay, so I'm going to get home to darkness, number 1, load shedding. And then number 2, I don't have, because you said I should cut down on entertainment. Now I don't have all of my subscriptions. I can't even watch TV. What do I then do? So I sit there and I am miserable. So what do I do? So I guess, honestly, right now we are all on survival mode, and we have to actually do the things that we normally would not want to do.
Stable but critical, ne?
Actually.
It keeps getting kuningi. We're coming back shortly after this break. You can contact us on 011-714-0669 or 714-0670. We're back shortly after this right now. still watching Yilungelo Lakho la Mamba Phambili SABC 1 in number to call in 011-714-0669, alternatively 714-0670. You can also email us your thoughts at consumer@sabc.co.za. Sikhona futhi on Facebook. My guest today, Gerald Mwandiambira Nyamazi Shoshovise Imali, alongside us Kabelo Teme ovela kwi-office le-Credit Ombudsman. Now, gentlemen, well, Gerald, I mean, we were talking during the break that there's really nothing that we can advise consumers because we cannot determine what's going to happen in the future of South Africa. But practically, there has to be some things that we can tell consumers to start saving. Maybe don't go for the premium packages on your entertainment. Downgrade to certain things. Please give us a few practical examples that some of us that actually can still do.
The first practical is do your budget. This time it's not about pretending.
How do I do my budget?
Sit down and see everywhere where your money is going. Know where your money is going. Number two, bring out that bank statement, compare it to the budget, see where the money is leaking. There's leakages somewhere. If you've got more than one bank account, guys, you don't need more than one. It's time for you to close one account because those accounts are charging you bank charges. Every time you swipe, it doesn't make sense.
And even if you're not using it, it's accumulating money.
So back to basics, budget, bank statement, back to basics, stock fair. If you're not a member of a stock fair and things are like this, all right, because things are tough right now. Right now, things are so bad that the other day, I think I was at the petrol station in 500 and then I was holding the new money. I just come from the ATM. So it's 50 rand. So I just looked at him and he looked at me. And I'm like, hey, these guys are tricking us. The bank is tricking us. But the reality is budget, go back into your bank statement, stock fill. Save with people, save with family. It's better when we're together. You know what I mean? If you've got insurance policies, don't cancel them, but maybe reduce the cover so that at least you're covered, but your premium comes down. So don't cancel your medical aid, don't cancel your insurance policy, but talk to your broker to say, look, I can't afford this premium right now, but reduce it so that I still have cover. And then if you start doing some of those things, you can survive. But the beautiful thing is, as South Africans, we find the funny side of all of this in that we love to laugh, but it's no laughing matter. Right now, we're in an environment where very few people are immune to what's going on. And I think we need to also think about the less fortunate. Now, if people, middle class, are feeling the pinch, think about someone in the informal settlement. Think about someone
the people living on grants.
Think about a widow. Think about an orphan. How are they surviving? And we need to really get some sort of intervention. Obviously, government cannot give away free money, but we need to start really looking at the situation because I think for most people, they've reached that point where they can't cope anymore. And it's difficult. It pains me to give advice sometimes because, you know, what's happening now is now the get-rich schemes have come up. Every day I'm getting a call about a new scheme or is this thing for real, where people are also taking advantage of others in this tough time.
Kabelo, look, the latest Credit Bureau Monitor report show that inquiries initiated by actual consumers looking for credit accounted for 13.35 million of all those inquiries. Now, these figures were recorded even before the 50 basis points repo rate increase was actually announced. How would you then advise consumers with regard to seeking credit when they are unable to pay for their current debts?
It's funny how as much as credit is getting more expensive, but consumers, we are running to credit to survive.
But how? We're living from hand to mouth.
Yes, we are. But what consumers are thinking is that right now I don't have anything, but I need something. I need to actually be able to buy food and get by for the rest of the month. And what we are actually doing as consumers now, we are actually thinking, okay, do I get a credit card, or do I take a short-term loan, or do I take a long-term loan? Oh no! Instead, let me get an overdraft because that is revolving. Then I know that each and every single month I've got an extra amount of money in my bank account, because with an overdraft, you know, it's continuous month to month, but we don't realize that you still have to pay that back. It's still debt, it's still credit, and obviously because it's revolving, the interest rates are higher. And when it comes to that though, and I have to say, understand, I fully understand, and I cannot say, I'm not going to pretend like I don't even understand the situation. What all we are saying as the Credit Ombud or financial advisors and all of that, we are saying that just be cautious. You know, be cautious, know exactly what you're getting yourself into. Right now, I mean, I think that each and every single time when you go on social media, you will always get an ad about reduce your installments. You get those ads that, no, we can help you from 75,000 Rand, we can reduce your debt to 5,000 Rand. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, here I am and I'm desperate. And you get these ads. And obviously I'm going to click on that link thinking, oh my goodness, this is my saving grace. But it is not. So we need to be extra careful right now, because as much as we are feeling the pinch, the scammers are also feeling the pinch.
I know we're between a rock and a tight, like a very tight place, aren't we? Tumega in East London, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show, Sister Snganceda.
Hi, Sister. Thank you for taking the call.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Standazam.
I just want to also comment on the hike in interest rate. I'm feeling the pinch now that I bought the house. So there is a difference between renting and paying about. Because every time that it comes to pay, increase number of things, you already have a problem. So it's a tough time for us and actually. And I just want to buy it as if it might not continue.
All right, okay. Sis Tumega, we're struggling to hear you properly with your line there, Standazam, but I think we heard something. She was commenting. Thank you so much, Nan. She was commenting about, of course, the tough times that we do have. And I mean, she's basically saying that everybody's feeling it. But of course, there are some of those things that you can look back into as individuals. And I think she was speaking about self-responsibility. We need to stop living beyond our means. Gerald, would you agree with that?
Look, I agree with that. And it's about accountability. But I think, you know, we also need to respect people because, you know, July Savings Month is coming up. We all know this. We all know we need to save. But we're now in a situation where it's not, you know, a lot of the things happening are beyond our control.
What are we saving?
I cannot control the interest rates. And if I was saving, the money I would have been ultimately saving is now being used as an expense. And that's where the challenge is, in that, you know, a lot of the current environment is got nothing to do with our behavior, but everything to do with the economy. And that's where we need to start holding the people who are responsible for the economy accountable to say, look, the rand losing value. I go to work every day. I don't do anything to change the value of the rand. You know, so we need to start really having that conversation. But in terms of, you know, being a financial advisor and saying, Karabo, what you need to do is to stop buying brands. Hey, when was the last time I bought a brand?
Nobody's
What's
buying
a brand?
brands anymore.
Hey, who's still buying a brand? You know what I'm saying? Unless I've got a tender, I ain't buying no brand. You know, we all know we've reached a point where in the supermarket, I've never seen so many people walking around with newspapers in the supermarket. Specials.
What do you mean specials? I've seen them with calculators in the trolley, calculating how much they're about to pay at the till, Gerald. We're going to leave it there for now. We're going to continue with this discussion after the break. Mbugeli, if you're also feeling the pinch, do call us. We're coming back shortly after this. The high cost of living nokuthi yonke into isiyabiza nokuthi ke iziphi ke wena izinto njengomthengi ongazama phela ukuthi uyincinze ukuze ukwazi ukuthi uqhubeke uphilise nomndeni wakho. Let's go to the callers now. Usisifikile use Richards Bay. Ntokazi yangakithi sakwamukela ohlelweni umbuzo noma umbono.
Umbuzo wami nje ngixakekile lana ngixakwe ibhondi yendlu esetsha kanye ne-loan. Ngiyafaka ukukhokha ama-interest ibhondi ngiqale imali encane manje siyimali enkulu akusaphileki. Ngihambe ngiye ebhenki ulo i-consultant ingadvise ngokuthi ingivalela i-credit card. Iphinde i-add kuyi-loan leyo ukuze ivale i-credit card obese kuyisikole sesithathu.
Hayibo.
KwakuFebruary ngenza lokho. Emva kwalokho yahlala imali kwi-credit card lokho ihlala. So baze bayithatha manje. Mase beyithatha manje sengiyakoleka futhi kwi-credit card sengikoleta imali futhi. Kanti bese ngiyivalile. Bengilokhu ngiyisebenzisa ngoba vele imali biphela ngikwazi ukuthi ngiyisebenzise ngoba isekhona kwi-credit card.
Sisifikile uke wayizama izinto ezifana no debt review kanjalo ngiyeza ukuthi uqalile ebank wayokhuluma nabo uyabona manje ukuthi nabo bakudela ezinye izikweletu.
Cha angaze ngicabange.
Okay sithanda sami ngicela ulalele lapha kumabona kude wakho mhlambe bazozama ukukusiza ivakashi zama ubone ukuthi ama options anawo imaphi sisikabelo. I mean listen to that, like literally what you were saying, that the consultant that you're talking to is feeling the pinch, is going through the same thing. It's not going to advise you, like give you good advice. Example, case in point.
Yes, because I'm thinking that I want my commission as well. So if I give you more credit, I get more commission, which means that I will survive the month. You might not, but hey, you know, that and I love the fact that you mentioned debt counseling, because I think that at this moment, for consumers to protect their assets, that would probably be the option for most consumers to go for. And it is very important that we do our homework when it comes to debt counseling. There are pros, there are cons,
absolutely,
obviously,
I was about to say.
when it comes to debt counseling. But at this present moment, you know that you've got a professional who will assist you and also protect your assets at the same time, and you will also be able to actually have a month, like your monthly expenses will also be covered. So it will not only be your debts that will be covered, but also your monthly expenses. And right now, as consumers, honestly, if at all you find yourself that, you know what, I cannot cope any longer, then rather go for a debt counseling, but do so with a registered and regulated debt counselor. Go onto the website of the National Credit Regulator and call the National Credit Regulator, making sure that whoever is going to assist you is going to make sure that they actually do the right job. Because the last thing that you want is for someone to scam you while they're saying they're trying to assist you. You don't want that.
At which point, Gerald, should somebody then start saying, you know what, like Usisfigile, you know what, I'm not coping. And we thank her for that. She came on air and she admits it. And she's even, you know, tried to give examples of how she tried to rectify the situation.
I would say,
but that only got her into further debt.
I think you need to sit down with a financial planning professional, not a financial advisor who's trying to sell you a policy.
Yeah.
Someone who's actually going to just look at your budget, look at your spending habits, and try and find a solution. If that fails, then you might get a referral to a debt counselor.
Okay.
But before you go to the debt counselor, speak to a financial planning professional. And yes, you're going to have to pay something to that person to help you, you know? But they will probably be in a situation to give you a clear picture of what actions which you need to take. And then once you've done that, you can move on. The other challenge right now when people are struggling is this thing they call offsetting, okay? Now, if you, Alicia, have got a credit card, overdraft, home loan,
vehicle finance,
solar loan, vehicle finance, all with the same bank.
Solar loan.
Yeah. Solar power
It's
loan.
a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you have a situation where all your products are with one bank. And the one thing you didn't do when you took out all those loans, you didn't read the policy, which says that should you start struggling, we can start shutting down. Okay. So right now, if you have a lot of credit with one bank, you're now at risk of offsetting, where they can take 1 month money from your current account and close your credit card without your permission, because it's in the contract, because it's they have that right. Because, and the thing is, they can see your life and they can see that you're starting to skip. So that's the danger. I've already seen some people saying, look, the bank came and they just closed my overdraft without asking. They can do that. They reduced my credit card limit. You know, sometimes you're living on your credit card limit every month. And then this month is not working. What's going on? You call the bank again, hey, my credit card is not working. What's going on? They're like, no, we reduced your limit. Ha! Kanjan.
Yeah.
They can do that.
Okay.
So that's where we are right now with a lot of consumers, where if you have a lot of products with one financial institution, they will start protecting their risk. So they'll start de-risking from you. So they can start shutting down some of your products and start taking away some of the benefits which you are used to, which is one of the things which is a risk when you put all your eggs in one financial institution.
Kabelo, I mean, isn't this then going to perpetuate reckless lending and people running into informal ways of getting credit like Obomashonis?
That's exactly what then will happen. And by doing that. I mean, the reason why we always say don't go for mashonisa or loan sharks or informal lenders is because to protect you as a consumer, because the interest rates, again, if you think that the current interest rate is high, go to a mashonisa.
30%, 40%.
I'm telling you, and they will do it without even thinking twice, without blinking, because remember, they do not check your risk. They do not do an assessment to check whether, yes, can you afford this date, can you not afford this date? And then the next month you go back again because you're thinking, oh no, but I've just paid you back, but as much as I paid you back, but I still need the money back because I can't live off what I already have. So it does honestly, it is concerning that a number of consumers will then go for those informal and unregistered lenders, and that honestly, it runs a risk, because even if you come to the Credit Ombud, if at all they are not registered, there is nothing you can do. But you can though approach the National Credit Regulator, but they can only assist you if the mashonisa is registered, because they do actually have that where mashonisas can actually register with the National Credit Regulator to ensure, of course, that they do charge the correct interest rates and they do not overcharge.
I mean, Gerald, very quickly before we go to another break, how can then consumers reduce their spending by looking at their needs and obviously wants? And people sometimes often like obscure the line between needs and wants.
Look, you need to change your lifestyle. You need to start looking at your diet. One day you must have fasting. Okay, and I don't know whether you're praying and fasting, but one day is fasting. One day you're having incomas. Okay? Okay, one day is chicken. Okay? One day is beef. And then the other 3 days, you have to make a plan.
Oh my.
That's the reality. That's the reality of many people. Now imagine if you're also having e-lunch books for your children. So what government is trying to help. I saw they're doing school feeding scheme. And guess what? They're even doing feeding scheme now for varsity and TVET students.
That's good.
It's a good thing, but it shows how bad things are. If you're now having to do feeding scheme at UJ.
Imagine, that means students at that level are literally going to school without anything in their stomachs. Yo, Mbogeli cha sibi ngempela isikhathi. We're coming back shortly after this break. Ungasifonela now usitshela udaba lakho sibone singakusiza kanjani. Oh, 011-714-0670, alternatively 011-714-0669, consumer@sabc.co.za. Those are the magic numbers ongasithola kuzona, as well as an email, consumer@sabc.co.za. Mbogeli, we are talking about the high cost yempilo. Kuthiwa ngempela cha emaphaketheni ithi imali noma usathi uyayifaka kube ngathi iphakethe linembobo. Osichazele wena ukuthi mhlambe istory sakho sithini. Ngihleli lana no Gerald Mwandiambira oyishoshovu sechwepheshe wemali no Kabelo Teme ovela ehhovisi le Credit Ombud. Now, Kabelo, maybe talk to us about how all this actually affects your credit score, because then people have been defaulting, people haven't been servicing their debts, others are not coming forward to talk to their creditors to try and rectify their situation. They've just literally just let sleeping dogs lie and hoping that the problem is going to resolve itself in a couple of years.
In all honesty, I mean, with a credit profile, the reason why there is a credit profile and a credit bureau is to track you as a consumer and how you actually conduct your credit. So if at all I'm skipping a month or I'm reversing that debit order, that's what we sometimes do, it's actually considered as a skipped payment. So therefore it will reflect negatively on your credit profile. So it will affect you. And I think that's also part of the reason why then some consumers would say, okay, fine, it's fine, I won't need, because that's what I actually hear. When we go, when we actually go on, when I actually go and we do these consumer workshops, and we are doing we are doing workshops and giving education to consumers, I promise you some consumers say, no, but it's fine, I don't care, because I'm not going to use credit in the future. But you don't know what the future holds. And therefore, some consumers, that's exactly where they are right now. They're just like, I don't care about my credit, I just need to survive right now. So it does affect your credit score negatively. And when it does that, it means that in future, when you really need to use credit, let's not forget that credit is a tool. It is a tool that it was created to assist us as consumers, that if you cannot, if you don't have the lump sum right now, you can go to credit, and then credit will aid you in your situation. So that is the use of credit. So if at all right now you are affecting your credit score, you are not paying your debt, and you are making late payments, those are the kind of things that will affect you. We forget that as consumers. I mean, it's like, for instance, right now, if I say to you, Alicia, please borrow me 100 Rand, and then I promise that next week I'm going to pay it back. If I don't pay it back, our relationship is not going to be good.
Oh, no.
And it doesn't feel good for you either.
Exactly.
For the fact that I made a promise to you, but I'm not keeping that promise. And that's exactly how it is right now. When I come to you because I need your help. You are going to the credit providers and you are saying, I need your help. And the credit provider is saying, no problem. I will give you the aid that you need. And then tomorrow you decide, I'm just not going to pay you because, hey, you've got money, hey? Unayo money anyway. I mean, we bank after all, right? So you've got all the money. I mean, my little amount of money is nothing to you, but it does affect you as a consumer at the end of the day.
You know, Gerald, thank you for that, Kabelo. Now, I just want to bring in the other side, which is a positive thing. Gerald, you know, we are freelancers. Most of us here are actually freelancers. And most of them, some of them, the credit scores are not okay because most companies will not take people that are freelancers. So they live literally with paying cash for everything. Is that recommendable to ensure that you stay out of debt and also not worried about your credit score then?
Look, I think, you know, for self-employed and freelancers right now, they're coping better because they're used to it. You know, they're used to life happening and not having money sometimes, you know? Whereas people on a salaried environment are finding it a lot more difficult to cope because of that. And as you said, you know, with credit, here's the problem. I've seen people who are now okay, they're earning good money, but they can't buy their dream house because of a 300 Rand store account, which they didn't pay 10 years ago. Now, here's the worst part. The store is gone. So you can't even go back and say, I paid them back, because you can't find them, because you didn't pay them back.
No, but Kabelo, why hasn't that debt prescribed?
No.
I was about to get hoping that
you are confusing us.
No, remember, you've got a court judgment. A court judgment does not disappear.
Okay.
You know, the debt can be prescribed, but the court judgment remains.
Okay.
And for you to lift a court judgment, you need to go with a lawyer to say, I paid the debt. Now, here's the problem. I can't pay back Alicia because you didn't pay and she starved of hunger. Because of that 100 Rand.
Oh my goodness. Debt collectors. There must be a debt collector somewhere.
The debt collector who bought the debt also died of hunger because you never paid. So you must realize that what you're doing today can have unintended consequences in the future. If you are struggling with your finances right now, the best advice is to simply communicate with those you owe and tell them the reality. I know they will bark, they will huff, they will puff like wolves who want to blow your house away. But at the end of the day, they want their money back. So as long as you can give money, keep money paying, then you're okay. The worst thing you can do is stop paying. Rather keep showing them that I'm struggling, but here's something, Yana, you know? But if you just say, I'm not answering your phones, you've saved their number as do not answer, or you've got the app
or you've
so
blocked
that you block them. Hey, they are going to revenge. And the revenge will be punishment plus a good move.
10 years and they died of hunger. Hi, Gerald. Okay, no, that's a scary example there. Let's go back to the callers. Putsipo, kwahlabisa nsizwe ngakithi KwaZulu Natal siyakwamukela baba ohlelweni. Ngiyabonga ukuthi ustay on the lines. Ngakusiza kanjani namhlanje?
Yebo sis.
Yebo nsizwe.
Yebo.
Go ahead, baba.
Yeah, ngisebenza nami la ngendlela ukudla okukhuphuke ngayo ukubiza ngayo. Ukubiza ngisho nje isinkwa soda lesimo sithenga isinkwa sesiya ko-20 Rand 18 Rand isinkwa ngisho brown isinkwa nje naso sesiyabiza. Angikhulumi-ke ngokuthi-ke inyama ebomvu hayi inyama ebomvu impela ayisathengeki.
So senizophila ngesobho baba.
Angizwa.
Sezophileka ngesobho.
Uyophileka nje ngesobho, uyophileka ngalo ngoba ngisonobhontshisi. I-kg nje lobhontshisi nawo ubhontshisi usiyabiza. Ubiza nje bonke ngendlela okhuphuke ngayo ukudla ey'tolo impela hayi. Sekuhluleka impela nje ukuthi hayi kunzima.
Siyabonga kakhulu Bhutsipho. Siyabonga kakhulu Bhutsipho ngalo mbono wakho. Mbukeli nawe mangabe unombono ungasinikeza lo mbono wakho. We're going to take a very quick ad break. We're coming back after this. We're talking about the high cost ukubiza kwempilo nokudura kwezinto esitolo. Sizwile njengoba uBhutsipho esho ethi inyama isinkwa, all the staples basically. Kabelo, he's saying these things are literally out of reach. How do we survive when we cannot afford food staples?
Whew, that is a tough one. I wish, honestly, there was a simple way of just simply saying, oh, no, just
because
do 1, 2, 3,
nobody can say, go make rice. They can say, bake bread.
Yes.
But how are you going to make rice and samp and beans?
I think that right now, a lot of us are moving away from brands. And I'm saying this even when it comes to food. If you're a person that was specific and like, no, I want this specific brand. Right now, it's about, I just want to be fed. If I can just eat, that's all that really matters right now. And I think that also what we also need to do for this little while, make sacrifices, right? And I'm going to go back to the entertainment, the wants, not the needs. We don't touch the needs.
Stop going out to restaurants.
Thank you. Because takeaways cost so much more. And sometimes what we do is that we, on payday, we go and buy groceries. And then after that, for supper, we have takeaways. That's what we do. It has become such a norm. And we don't want to break away from such traditions, but we don't realize exactly how much of an effect those things
so
actually
it's also,
do.
We need a mindset change.
Definitely. And sometimes we even forget about our contracts, whether it's a cell phone contract, whether it's a gym contract. And we forget that if at all I don't say to my cell phone provider that, oh no, I'm no longer going to continue with the contract, it runs from month to month basis.
Yeah.
And it's the same even with the gym contract. You need to actually stop those things. And that's why I'm saying that adulting is all about admin. You have to put in the work, you need to put in the hours, and you need to look at all of your contracts, read them, understand them, and know exactly when my gym contracts come to an end. A month before, inform my gym, I will no longer be continuing.
But why is it gym? Why isn't it around the
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, you can easily just jog. You know, it just saves you money. Why not?
Yes.
So cut down on those things. And honestly, they do, as much as we may think that, oh no, but it doesn't make that much of a difference. It does make a difference.
Because, I mean, Gerald, now when you have to make a decision between petrol and electricity and bread, how are you going to make that decision as a consumer? You need those things.
No, it's very difficult. I think, you know, people are cutting back. And, with, you know, I read a study the other day that the two things which people have cut back the most on is gym contracts, as well as
entertainment,
satellite TV.
Yes, satellite TV.
You know,
yeah, we saw that they've also lost quite a few.
People are making those choices, but you know, if I cut back too much on these things, I can't sit and wait for something to happen. You know, I think that's where we are right now. We need to go back to basics again, where we say, you know, maybe families need to come back together. I've seen people moving back home, and we need to make those tough decisions where someone gives up their car and people go, hey, 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 life has happened to him, and they laugh for 3 days.
Fine.
But you're fine. You're fine, you know. Takeout, I would say a lot of people have already cut back. I mean, sometimes the 2-piece chicken is now hectic. Guys, 2-piece chicken, 50 rand. What is this? You know, what is this? It was 20 rand not long ago. So a lot of people have cut back on all those things. So with all due respect, most South Africans know what's going on. The biggest challenge is that there's too much bills for too little money. And that's the biggest problem, that no matter how much I cut back on myself, there's still too much life to the money which I have. And I think that's where a lot of people need counseling. Because you're now getting a situation where men are going into depression.
Oh, absolutely.
Anxiety.
Breadwinners. Why are you saying men? We're not Gerald.
Breadwinners.
Breadwinners. We're breadwinners.
Okay, all breadwinners. I'm a breadwinners. Let's call you breadwinners as well. All the breadwinners are now feeling the pressure.
We are.
And there's a lot of depression, anxiety, and suicide. People are giving up. You heard that gentleman calling and saying, what am I supposed to do? You know, you reach a point where you wake up one morning and you don't have money for bread. What do you do? You know? And that's where we are now, where we really need to start saying a national crisis has to be declared by government to say, how can we help our people? How can we save the nation? Because, you know, the Reserve Bank standing up and saying 8.25 repo rate, the guys in that monetary policy committee, I guarantee you, don't buy bread every day for themselves. And we now need to ask the people who have been enjoying life to put themselves in the feet of the most vulnerable people in South Africa and realize that enough
is enough. You know, Kabelo, I mean, maybe talk to us very quickly about some of the bad financial traps that actually consumers should be very cautious of, particularly during a time like this.
I think that due to desperation as well, I did mention that we get people calling us and telling us, no, but we can offer you lower interest rates and lower installments. I mean, those are the kind of things that we need to really be cautious about. And right now, as much as you may get a call, I mean, just yesterday, in fact, I was talking to young people and I asked them simple, when a person calls you right now and says to you, we can offer you a cell phone contract for 300 Rand, can you honestly say that, no, I know exactly what is going on my finances because I do my budget so well that I can tell you that, yes, I've got that extra 300 Rand. We don't. And the truth is that as much as we think that people are budgeting, a lot more people are not budgeting.
People are not budgeting.
And sometimes it could be that, yes, they don't know maybe how to budget. But right now, honestly, if at all you are considering even taking out credit, know the numbers, do the numbers, sit down and actually do the numbers. I mean, we've got a simple right. Well, the National Credit Act has given us the right to read our agreements, right? And the right to get those agreements in a language that you understand. So there's actually no reason for you to actually say, no, I didn't read my contract. You've got that right, and you need to get that agreement in a plain and simple language. So you read it, you understand it, take it home. There is a pre-quotation agreement that you can actually take home. It's valid for 5 days. If you're not, if you can honestly say that, you know what, I've done the numbers, I can no longer do this, then you simply go back to your credit provider and say, no, sorry, I'm not interested in this specific credit because I can't afford it.
And since Alicia was still in Youth Month,
very quickly,
I think, you know, the youth with the Instagram generation are simply not living the reality of South Africa. They're still popping, they're still living as though
Insta life.
No, because they don't know what interest rates are. Okay? You know, and we need to start saying, if you have youth in your family, have that conversation to say, slow down. Because sooner or later, it will catch up with them as well.
All right, I can bogele. Unfortunately, sesifike emaphethelweni ohlelo. Siyabonga kakhulu for joining us, nama callers, for calling in. Thank you so much. This is where we're going to leave it. Babukeli, tuwabhekani ngempela ukuthi imali yenu nispenda kuphi, and be very decisive about ukuthi nina imali yenu isebenza kanjani. Alisha umajali uthi umthanda nonke emakhaya nisale kahle. Keep spending and saving.
Yilungelo